thought the mullet was really good. A lot of creative work done here. My favorite was this one. It was a mullet wrapped with crab meat and shrimp. Great. This one here was pretty much the same thing, only a broiled mullet instead of a grilled. But it was excellent. I enjoyed it very much.
You know, a lot of people think about mullet as a trash fish, but when you have it like this, it absolutely shows that it is not. There are some really amazing creations here. And I agree with my partner here. My favorites were these two. The one with the spinach was just amazing. Had a really delicate flavor. And then the one with the crab meat had a real kind of a Japanese influence with a seaweed salad and some fish roe. Gave it a little pop. It's really amazing.
Oh, great creativity in every entry that we had. I like number one. The taste was good to me, and I thought each one was very well presented. The boxes were beautiful, the creations were, and so I really enjoyed them.
My favorite was the one with the crab meat, and then the one with the pasta. The one with the crab meat was very tender, very moist, very, very good.
Well, this is my first time actually to try mullet, and I will try it again. This is extremely creative and very tasty. My favorites were 2, 4, and 5, but I think my very favorite was number 4, which was extremely good with the spinach or the mixture they put there. Number 1 was tasty, but it was a little tough with the prosciutto, I believe, around it.
Hey, I'm Rob Jackson. I'm pit master of BBQ Island here in Pensacola Beach, Florida. We're at the Smokin in the Square. I've got my lovely wife, Tina.
Hello.
And Ron Jackson from
Olathe, Kansas. Or Kansas City, that's better.
And
John Davis from Dalton, Georgia.
Chris Jackson, Pensacola, Florida.
What are y'all cooking tonight?
Tonight we're cooking mullet, shrimp, and tasso pasta. It's our seafood specialty. And tomorrow we're doing the major 4, all the big 4. We're a pro team.
And how many contests a year do you cook?
We just started last year. We did Smokin in the Square, which is this one. We started out last year. We won People's Choice. Then we did the Liberty Tree in Dalton, Georgia, and we won People's Choice. And last weekend was our first event of this year, and we finished. We got a call in ribs, second in ribs, and finished 10th out of 30 teams. So we're on our way.
Sam's Club.
It was Sam's Club.
Okay.
So, and our barbecue groupie, Jackie Davis.
Hi.
What about the parting of the water? We got the Italian in the chair, the one that started it all. Split the waters. There's the Italian that started it all right there. Anna Mary Mangicotti Jackson.
I'm the one that made him.
Okay.
I'm Marcia Hale. I'm from Lynchburg, Tennessee. And me and John Hale cook as the late night whiskey smokers. Back when my kids were in high school doing barbecue fundraising, and we cooked butts for the Booster Club and sell them. And then John was cooking with the Jack Daniel barbecue team, and they cooked Memphis in May. So he had the barbecue experience, and I was doing fundraisers with barbecue. So we decided to go with Becky and Blind Dog one weekend. We got the bug that weekend. We ordered a cooker from Close, went to Texas and picked it up, and that was in June of 2000. So we started cooking, we started getting a few ribbons here and there, and we got the bug. So we just keep competing. We do about 12 a year, and that has brought us to 2012. And we're here in Pensacola today, having fun.
Now you do desserts too.
Yes, I do desserts, and we've won several blue ribbons with desserts. I like to tinker with cakes, so that's my forte in the dessert category.
What y'all gonna do with this new product?
We're going to enjoy it. It gets us out of the heat, and when it's cold, we get to get in. So, and out of the rain, so we're really going to like that.
Sold your own trailer yet?
No, we still have the old trailer. I got a guy that's wanting it, but he hadn't come up with the money yet.
Well, we got to pay you for it.
Yeah. He's wanting it real bad, but I won't let it go till I get the money. Tomatlow State. Close to home.
And what's Tomatlow State?
It's a community college, 2-year college. It came from the Motlow family that originally was with Jack Daniels. It came from Hap Motlow, which was Jack Daniels' nephew. And he had all the land, so he donated the land to the college. And then the distillery gave him money to help him start building the college.
I am Becky. I am Blind Dog's wife. And Drew started cooking probably about 15 years ago, and I was not involved in it. So he went and bought a cooker, which I didn't know anything about, didn't know the price or anything, and he went cooking for many years without me. So I started going along with him, and we had a ball. Everybody we came across was great, helpful, and we just had a good time. Then we got into the judging, and we took the judges class, table captains class, did a lot of the cooking for the judges class, and we've been pretty involved. Drew started Whistle Stop, I think it was 12 years, this year will be 12 years. So he started the contest in Huntsville, and I helped with that at first, and then I got old and couldn't do a whole... I first started out by just doing the breakfast for the judges, and then I got into the judges part of it and getting the judges, you know, for the contest. And I did that for a couple of years. And the Christmas party, Marcia and I started the Christmas party for the barbecuers, and that went great for about 7 years, and then it's just kind of dwindled down. You know, people get older and move away, and you just are out of touch with people, but we've had a ball doing that. As far as cooking, I've kind of laid a little low here lately because I've just had so many things going wrong with my body. And
When you were cooking, did you do meats or did you do desserts or sides, or what did you do?
did sides, did meats, but kind of got out of the sides category because it was just a lot of work. A lot of money, a lot of time. And it was fun, you know,
And y'all catered too, right?
Yeah, we do some.
I mean, you used to cater a lot.
Yeah, I used to do a lot of catering, yeah. And so I've quit a lot of that. But I still like going, and we're here this weekend with Marcia and John, so we're just playing and don't have the stress this weekend, which it is a lot of stress. You know, I don't think people realize, you know, how much work is involved in a contest, because you're going out to buy your meat, get your stuff together, you know, bring it home, you pack it back up, you take it off, then you cook, then you have to take it all back, clean it up, put it up. And a lot of times when you just don't get that first, second, third, fourth, or fifth, you know.
Finishing the money?
Well, money's nice, yeah, but there's other things that...
What's the real reason?
The real reason we cook? Yeah, well, the companionship with everybody. But like I said, as we've gotten older and been in it for so many years, so many people have just moved or quit cooking. You know, it's like a new set has come in, which I can understand because new people are always coming into this. So, you know, it's still fun. We still have a good time.
Great day. Enjoy the weather.
Oh, okay. The various
chicken, we didn't really get, I don't think we got any bad chicken. I thought the strongest piece of chicken was this one right here. It had good smoke taste. It had great tenderness. It was not just mushy tender, but it was good. The only negative thing it had about it is it had a tough skin. But I really didn't mark off of that. I didn't grade down for that. And I gave it a very good score. This is also a very good piece. As you can tell, I've eaten off of both of these. We really didn't get any weak chicken. The only chicken that was, to me, was a little weak was the breast, because it didn't have the smoky taste. It didn't have the moisture that is native in all of the leg meat. Other than that, this was very good. It was all good. It was the leg was good. Everything was good. That's really all I don't know what to say about it.
Number one was I thought it had a really good flavor. It was fairly moist. It was probably one of my better ones that I had. Number two was a slightly dry, but I did not like the taste of number two. Number three was a little bit on the dry side, but it had a fairly decent flavor to it. Number four had a really good flavor, good smoke flavor, and good taste overall, but it was a little bit on the dry side. Number five was very moist, very tender, but the flavor had an extremely hot flavor to it.
Okay, my number one was my favorite. It was very juicy. You could bite through the skin very easily. It had a sweet taste, but yet it had a little bit of spice to it, which I like. Number two was a little bit dry and had no flavor at all. My number three was very dry, and again, it didn't have too much flavor. Number four had a good smoke flavor to it. Was just a little bit dry, but again, you could bite through the skin easily. And then my number five was very juicy and tender, but it had an overwhelming salty taste to it on my piece.
My number one was the best one of all. I got straight nines on it. It was real juicy, good flavor. Number two was real juicy, but the flavor wasn't that great. Number three was the worst one. It was the flavor was bad, and it was a real dry piece. Number four was my next favorite. It was had a good smoky flavor to it, but then it was a little bit on the dry side. And number nine was real juicy, but the flavor was just kind of wasn't there. But the chicken was real good.
Well, I think probably my favorite one was the first sample. It was very succulent. Really liked the spicing on it. It was interesting entry for barbecue, and the tenderness and moisture were all just almost perfect. So the last sample was probably the toughest. The outside skin was very tough to bite through, and some of the others were kind of in between on taste and tenderness. So I think the first one was certainly my overall favorite.
By far, my favorite was number one. I do think it was just absolutely perfect. The sauce just complemented the meat so beautifully. The skin was as tender as the meat. It was just wonderful. Number two, I found it to be a little tough and a little dry. Number three, particularly the breast piece, was dry. Number four was my least favorite. My sample, the skin was tough. The meat was dry. Number five I liked, but it was very salty. And so I don't care for it. Overall, very good entries.
And spice and tenderness, My least favorite was number 5. It was overcooked, and you could tell they were trying to cover up the overdoneness of it with a little too much sauce.
Number 3 was my favorite also. It was tender, just real good.
Number 2 and 3 were my favorites. They had great sauce, great taste. They were very tender. My least favorite was number 5. It was a little tough and very, very hot and spicy.
Going with the flow, number 2, absolutely the best. Very tender, good taste, good smoke, not overpowering sauce, good meat flavor. 3 was good, not as good as 2. 5, tough, dry, hot.
Looks like we're all about in consensus. Number 2 was my favorite. It was good and tender. It was a little bit sweet. Number 5 just set me on fire. That thing was too hot.
Number 3 was my favorite. It had a good taste to it. It was tender. It pulled off the bone cleanly. Number 5 was my least favorite. I like heat, but it was dry and it just didn't have a whole lot of texture to it.
Bring it here, you want me to bring it to you? I'll bring it to you.
We'll put a little parsley right under there.
Put some more parsley under, just to make it stand up. We'll separate the slices.
The pork overall was fairly good. Number 1 was my favorite. It had more of flavor to it and good texture. Number 2 was a little peppery. I'm not sure if that's exactly the taste, but it was that. Number 3 and number 4, unfortunately, were very bland, and number 4 was tough. And number 5 had a good flavor. It was a little dry.
No, number 1 was the one that I liked the best. It had a lot of flavor. The texture was just perfect for it. The one that I hated the least was actually number 3. It looked very good on the appearance, but it just had no flavor on the inside at all.
I thought the number 1 and 2 pork were the best. Good flavor, really good flavor. 3 was a little, I think, was a little bland, as well as 4. 4 had really good tenderness, but was bland. 6, the flavor was fair. I mean, I think it might have been there, but it was a little tough. So that was probably the toughest of the bunch.
1 and 2 were very good with the flavor and with the tenderness and the texture on them. Number 3 was salty. Number 4 shouldn't have been put in the box. It was full of fat and not a very good piece of meat. Number 5, they sliced it pretty thick, which means that they didn't like the way it came out, and it was tough and really didn't have any flavor.
Okay, welcome back to Smokin Square 2013.
Okay, well, I thought the brisket today was not as good as I've had in the past. That I thought our first one was a little bit, was a little bit petroleum taste to it, not too smoky. The second one had a lot of fat, was not tender. Third one was actually our best one. It was tender, it had a lot of flavor, a lot of smoky flavor. Number 4 was fairly good, but it just didn't have much taste to it, so I didn't rate it very high. And number 5, it was tough, and it was not a lot of taste to it, a little too much sauce.